5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening everybody and welcome to the show. This is our 100th show and we've been on the air not constantly, but not continually, but for 2 years now. Just to give you a little bit of the backstory in a moment, but my name is Suzanne and you're Steve? Again? He's got a cold again. I don't know what's gone up his nose, but as I say, it's been a very interesting. We never thought we'd get this far, I must admit, to be honest with you. But it's all thanks to you lot out there.
I actually thought we'd run out of guests in the first year, let alone the second one.
Yeah, well, this is it. So it's it's all thanks to you lot out there for keeping us on show or on the line, sort of thing. But because we're only doing this, well, we enjoy it, but we're only really doing this for you lot out there, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah, we're trying to like we've always done. We're trying to get people together to talk about things, and I'm loving it because all the time I'm learning stuff.
Well, this is it.
Some of it I might think is absolute rubbish, but like I said the other day, there's always something from one guest. Doesn't matter who the guest is, there's always something I can take.
Well, this is it. Which
means I've learned something else, which is great.
Yeah, well, we've had quite a few subjects on, haven't we, really? We've had cryptozoology, which we've talking to people like Richard Freeman. We've talked about his orang pendek that he's been looking forward to finding and the progress he's been getting on from there. And
he went on the thylacine hunt as well.
And we've learnt more, about the Mowagambi, or whatever you call it. I can't think what it was called. That's it. Macalacombi or something or other. But, it's been an adventurous 2 years, I must admit. And I thought, really, that, I didn't think we'd ever get this far. Good evening to Aggie in the chat room.
And TTG
Tamworth. Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome to Andy 707 and also Norwich Paranormal Society down there. John.
Down in there in Norfolk.
Yeah, in Norfolk. And anybody else who's out there that isn't registered into the chat room that's listening, welcome to the show. Let me just give you...
and you don't have to register. You just go in. You just go in,
you know what I mean.
Put your nickname in and away you go.
Well, just let me give you a bit of an idea of how this all started. We used to be on a programme, on a radio show as regular guests for Roy Basnett on City Talk on his Zone Unknown. And when that finished, I missed it. And I thought, well, why don't I just up the ante on the chat room and sort of turn it into, something different if I could. But we didn't know how to do it, did we, Steve?
No, and up steps Paul.
Paul Reed, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He was a friendship that took off quite well back in 2012. And we met him in the we met him in the February, and unfortunately by May he died of cancer. But he turned around and said to us that he was doing a thing on Spooky Radio, his website, whereas he would do a spooky music show sort of thing with all the hits from things like Thriller and Backstreet Boys are back or whatever, stuff like that. And
he plays some really weird music.
Didn't he? So, but and he said, well, why don't you come on the show? And I thought, well, we've done it before, why not? But then it turned out that what he wanted us to do was to do the show ourselves. And he gave us an hour. I said, what are we going to do in an hour? What are we going to do? Didn't we? We didn't know what we're going to talk about in 1 hour, didn't we, Steve? You know what I mean? And it was like, well, all I really wanted to do was keep the paranormal friendly and get people like yourselves into the chat room and try and share stuff. And that was the whole idea of it, wasn't it, Steve?
It was, yes.
You know, and he loved the concept as well. And he said, do a show. He said, I'll give you a 2-hour spot, even though you're only doing, you know, you don't think you'd fill an hour. And wow, it just, we didn't realise an hour went like that, didn't it, really? And we've done about an hour and a half, you know, just...
Yeah, it just flew.
It just flew. That was on the 21st of March, 2012.
Yeah,
and Richard Freeman was our first guest.
We suddenly looked up and, well, blimey, at the time, but we better
really
stop.
went quick, you know. And as I say, we sort of put it on the concept the way that Zone Unknown was, and try and bring you different people from all walks of life within the paranormal and the cryptozoology and the conspiracy theories and stuff like that, just to give you a little bit of other people's lives and what they're doing and sharing, isn't it, babe?
Yeah, that's what the KTPF has always been about, is sharing information. Obviously, from our point of view, hauntings and things like that, because that's what we're into, but other people's are into other things, and if we don't share information on whatever our interest is, it doesn't grow, it doesn't go anywhere.
No,
it becomes stale, because one person can only go so far, and sometimes it takes a comment from someone else to move it on.
Well, this is it. Now, when we first started with Paul, we said you can both be the paranormal version of Richard and Judy. Didn't he, Steve? And he used to advertise us as that, the paranormal version of Richard and Judy. And to be honest with you, I like the way somebody summed up our show recently, back in March. George Stadowski, who's going to be a guest in the next coming few weeks, but he's from Parascience Journal, and he actually said that he loved the vibe that we do on the show, and what we have, and he said it's like sitting down for coffee with a group of friends, and if that's what it's like, then we've done our job. Success. You know what I mean? Because we want to keep it informal and just chat away. You know what I mean? We're not professional hosts, we don't do radio shows or anything like that. We're just doing our own little thing, and if you feel like sitting down, having a cup of coffee, having a chat with us, then go for it. And because that's all it's about. And and don't forget the forum as well. There is stuff in there. Andy 707, so that was nice. It was nice, wasn't it? So and he liked the show as well. So But yeah, it's been good, and I don't really want it to stop. But sooner or later, we're going to run out of people, unless we just get them all back on again and talk about something else. But talking about guests, our guest tonight is a certain young man we met on a weird weekend, didn't we, Steve? We did. He's a lovely guy. He's Irish, and he's eccentric. But he does come across eccentric. He's very funny. He doesn't sound that Irish, to be honest. No, he's probably going to be the funniest speaker we've ever had to date. And later on tonight, about 8:30 anyway, we're going to be phoning Ronan up in Dublin, I think he is, or Belfast. He's over there somewhere. Yeah, I think he said Belfast. Sorry, Bangor. That's where he's living now. Somewhere over there, anyway. He's over in Bangor, and Andy said, "Why not?" He's been on 3 times. And basically, he's going to be talking about his venture as an author and the folklore of his beloved Isle. So that's what we've got tonight. And talking about his books, he's sold his bestseller to date was the Encyclopedia of Arthurian Legends, and it's reported to have sold 120,000 copies. And that's just one of his books, That's cool. But he does cool. Like the Dictionary of Cryptozoology, Irish Christian names, Irish myth and legends, Sherlock Holmes and the Hair of the Albion. Okay. Further cryptozoology, companion to Atlantis and other mystery lands. Yeah. And he dresses like your typical old style teacher as well, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. Because he used to be a teacher. Yes. So that should be good tonight. So we'll find out a bit more about Ronan and his beloved Isle. So, well, as I say, thank you for joining us on our 100th show. And as I said before, it's all down to you that we're here. So a big thank you to you.
Yeah, definitely a big thank you goes out to you guys.
Okay,
because we couldn't do it without you. Not as the format we're doing now. It would end up just being some kind of blog, and it wouldn't be the same.
No, it wouldn't be the same without them, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, so we are proud to be keeping the paranormal friendly with you lot, and I'm going to hand you over to Steve for the observations.
And Andy, yes, I do have the links. Okay, here we go. Waves detected on Titan Moon's lakes. Scientists believe they have detected the first liquid waves on the surface of another world. The signature is isolated ripples was observed in the sea called Ponga Mare on the surface of Saturn's moon Titan. However, these seas are filled not with water but with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. I didn't know there was an ethane. But there you go. These exist in a liquid state on Titan, where the surface temperature averages minus 180 C. That is cold. Planetary scientist Jason Burns discussed details of his findings on the 45th Lunar Planetary Science Conference, the LPSC, in Texas this week. Titan is a strange-looking glass version of Earth, with substantial atmosphere and a seasonal cycle. Wind and rain shape the surface to form river channels, seas, dunes and shorelines. But much of what's familiar is also turned sideways. The moon's mountains and dune fields are made of ice rather than rock or sand. The liquid hydrocarbons take up many of the roles played by water on Earth. Vast majority of Titan's lakes and seas are concentrated around the North Polar region. Just one of these bodies of liquid, Ligera Mare, is estimated to contain about 9,000 cubic kilometers of mostly liquid methane, equating to about 40 times the proven reserves of oil and gas on Earth.
Mm.
So it makes me wonder when they're going to be going up there to get it. You can bet your life somebody's planning it.
Oh yeah.
And then that makes us like a lot of these so-called space films where you've got people coming to Earth to strip us and end up stripping them.
Yes.
Good evening, Manky Man. Manky Hypno Man has just joined us.
Oh, has he? So
Yes.
has Chris from my SAS.
Hi, Chris, as well. Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately, that is one I don't have the link for.
There's no pictures, is there?
No.
Right.
Yuri Geller uses psychic powers to determine the fate of Malaysia Airlines aircraft. Yuri Geller revealed that he has been approached by a substantial figure to help in the search for the missing Malaysian Airlines aircraft. Flight MH370 disappeared without trace on March 8th with 233 people on board. The spoon-bending psychic has been asked to use his powers to explain what happened to the aircraft. Geller, who has been using a technique called remote viewing to establish the fate of the plane, revealed that he believes the pilots were overcome by fire. Speaking from his home in Berkshire, Geller said remote viewing has been used by the CIA for decades, and it works by people sending their mind through space and time. I have been asked by quite a substantial figure in Malaysia what my feelings are about this situation. In my opinion, that something happened to the pilot, he explained. The pilot was either pushed into a situation to divert the plane by another force, or he did it of his own accord. This is my opinion, and it is only my opinion. It is what I have derived from my own personal intuitive feelings. If anybody wants to link for these, give us a shout and I will put them down, because obviously I don't read out the whole thing. It'll have to be here all night.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have the link for that one. Paranormal investigators snap undeniable evidence of Cassionberry Park ghost. Paranormal investigators had to hold their breath to snap this spooky shot of midnight mist, which they say is undeniable evidence that spirits haunt Cassionberry Park. Jamie Burnell, lead investigator for the Watford Paranormal Group, was one of 9 people ghost hunting in the park between 9:30 and 3 a.m. on Saturday night. The 33-year-old said the park is haunted by the ghost of Lord Arthur Capel, who was a royalist during the Civil War and met his end when he was beheaded in 1649. Mr. Burnell said that the legend has it Lord Capel's heart was removed after his death and placed in a silver casket and eventually hidden in Castleberry Park. Paranormal groups every year around March 9th try to spot the headless spirit of Lord Capel, as that is the anniversary of the sightings. Mr. Burnell said people don't realise the rich history of Castleberry Park, and they don't understand the negative side of the place. When I went to the park 4 years ago, I took a medium with me. She said there were murders, rapes and sacrifices that took place in there. It was a very strange place after dark. Speaking about the photo, Mr. Burnell said, the more I look at it, the more I believe the spirit entities were trying to show themselves. There are so many faces that I can make out. It is almost undeniable proof that there are faces on their sides. I can see almost a full body apparition. The more I look at it, the more I see into it. Mr. Burnell said that the members of his group, Alexander Ray, had to keep holding his breath when he took photos because they did not want to compromise the picture at all.
We're being screamed at.
I've all definitely put the link in there, don't worry. And I didn't see it myself. I don't see it myself. But here comes the link. 1 second. I did copy them and I have checked them. They do work.
So he's going to post that one for you.
There we go.
It's a long one.
It is.
Try that.
Try that.
And hopefully it'll work.
It worked when I put it in my browser earlier.
Did it?
I don't know whether it'll work straight from there or not. But when I copied it and put it in the browser, it came up. Okay.
Is it going to come up? No.
I mean, nope.
Didn't come up.
It didn't. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm not having this. It came up for me. Paste. Go. Picture.
Is there a smaller link? Oh, John said he can see it.
I can see it. I just posted it straight into the browser and it came up.
Let's have a look.
I'm assuming you've got all of it on there.
I don't know. No, they don't seem to be covering all of it.
No, they don't seem to have it all, do they?
No.
1 second. I will try and give it to you all again.
So, let's sort that out. Hold on. Does that mean you found it? No. John, can you see what you can do? Put it in two bits.
Put it in 2 bits?
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, 1 second.
Then they can copy and paste it into the browser.
I will put it in 2 bits.
Just put it on. We did. Nothing happened.
Hang on. I'll get it from there. See if you have to get half of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's because it's such a long link.
It is a long link, yes.
So
I will put it in 3 bits.
Yeah. See if you can do it that way.
This first bit ends in 38.
Let's see if that comes on.
There we go.
Right, okay, that's there.
Okay, that's there.
Use this side
next
to
bit.
make a short version.
No, don't want all of that bit. I only want that bit.
So
ends in Watford Obs.
He said if you go to the site link that he's put on there now, you can make it a shorter link.
Hang on.
I can't do that because I haven't got the link. So bear with us, guys.
I will get this.
I
How do I make it short?
don't know.
Paste a link to shorten it. There we go. Hang on, I better get all of it then, don't I?
Yeah, get all of it and paste the shorter link. We'll have to remember that page.
I will save it.
So
I'm probably going to need it again tonight.
yeah. Okay, give it a go.
Short. Here we
Does that
go.
work? Okay, give it a go. Hopefully you'll get it this time.
Now, that is the shortened link.
Yeah. Have a go, see what you can find.
Somebody tell me it works.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully it worked, Andy.
It works.
Right, go on then.
I know it works because I just did it myself.
Right, next.
Hang on, let's yeah. Don't get rid of that one.
What's next?
Right.
We've got 9 minutes.
Oh, you got 9 minutes. Okay. Mystery wand etched with faces found near beheaded skeletons. Archaeologists have unearthed an ancient staff carved with 2 realistic human faces in southern Syria. Roughly 9,000-year-old artifact was discovered near a graveyard where about 30 people were buried without their heads, which were found nearby living space. Oh, yes. It is one for Andy. And before I do it, I'm going to go and get. No, the link's quite short, so that's. I'll put it in for you now, and you want to save this link, guys, because there's an interesting video at the end that's got a lot of interesting stuff on it. Okay.
Andy said that last one, it was just a load of mist to him.
That's what I thought. and this one, it is a short link. There you go. Have a look on that one.
Right.
Because
okay.
There's an interesting video, but don't go and watch it yet, because obviously we want you to stay with us. Okay, here we go. Pineal gland activates man's open third eye with a magnet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. Have you ever heard the expression "be careful what you wish for, because you might get it"?
Yeah.
Many people are trying to find ways to fully open their pineal glands, but one person in particular may have gotten more than he desired. By using the north end of a magnet, a man allegedly opened his pineal glands, i.e. third eye, not only to see things within this dimension, but beyond it as well.
Yeah.
Walter Rawls' penile stimulation experiment. The following is an excerpt from a free ebook by David Wilcock called The Science of Oneness. Walter Rawls, who worked with the effects of monopolar magnetic fields on matter with late Albert Roy Davis, told me in a telephone conversation of his experiment with North Pole magnet situated over the pineal gland.
Hang up. I think Andy's saying it's pineal, apparently.
Well, they want to separate because it doesn't look like that.
He said it's supposed to be pineal.
Okay, I will say that later.
It sounds better.
It does, doesn't it? A mask was made which held the North Pole end of a long cylindrical magnet over the pineal gland. Activation. The man opens his third eye with a magnet in 5D.com over the pineal gland. The purpose was to stimulate the gland to see if there was anything to this third eye business. Exposure was in the range of 10 to 30 minutes per day over a period of about 4 weeks. Within the first week, he was sitting at his desk reading documents when he noticed something move out the corner of his eye. As he looked up, the ghostly figure of a man had walked through one wall and moved across the room and disappeared through another wall. The figure was totally unaware of Walter. Further exposure to this North Pole field took place over a second and third week. The second week, the same ghostly figure moved through the room and glanced towards Walter as he passed through. This time the figure appeared to have slightly more detail and not quite so ghostly. The third week, while working on documents, Walter noticed a change in the room. When he looked up, the wall had dissolved away, and he was looking at a small hill where a man and a woman sat beneath a tree. It was the same ghostly male figure who had seen on the other occasion. He sat quite still, watching this pastoral scene for several minutes. The man looked over towards Walter and appeared startled, as if he clearly saw Walter this time, and possibly recognized Walter as the ghost that he had seen in previous week. The image faded away and the wall restored to its normal condition. From that moment on, Walter never used the pineal stimulator again.
What do you think to that, Andy? So, would you open your third eye with a
North end of a magnet?
North end of a magnet?
I want to know how you found the North Pole of a magnet.
I don't know. Probably used a compass.
Don't be daft.
I don't know.
I can't see that.
He said, what drugs were he also taking at the time?
It doesn't say, but on that link there's a video there, and something that it says there that I actually thought I had a thought about it. There's a scientist that discovered that the mind and the earth both have the same vibration of 7.83 kilohertz.
Yeah.
And he did this experiment where he took healthy students and took them down into a deep bunker, and they lived there for weeks, for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And they gradually became, because they didn't have this signal, they gradually became ill and depressed and stuff like that. And when he secretly sent the signal in, they all slowly became better and happier. So I had a thought that people who suffer from depression and bipolar and the likes, which is, as I understand it, has a lot to do with depression, wouldn't it be beneficial for them to have this signal 7.83 kilohertz actually in where they live for periods of time to help with the depression?
Maybe.
Because they found that the earth vibrates with the same signal as a human mind does. So they're linked. So I suppose the next thing is to find out is whether outside of the earth is the same vibration.
Yeah.
What do you think, guys?
Well, Andy said you can do it with a tantra, but it takes years of practice. And then he said that's what binaural frequencies can do.
I know me and Andy Tigger on there. If you've seen him, we tried to find a generator on the apps that could get it, and we couldn't actually get. We can get 7.8, but not 7.83, stuff like that. But when you turned it, I was sitting there and I was turning them up different levels, and boy, could I feel it.
Definitely, and it was playing havoc with him as well.
It can make you feel really funny, can't it?
Oh yeah. So, okay. Right, well, what we'll do is, Steve, we'll come back to them afterwards. Yeah, a bit later on.
Okay.
So, don't forget, if you just join us, as you may know, it's our 100th show. We've been going 2 years now. 2 years on Friday. We started on the 21st of March 2012. And as we said to everybody, at the end of the day, we couldn't have done it without you lot. So it's a big thank you to you. And he says it's music with deep vibrations in the background. He uses to make music for clients with binaural sounds in the background.
He said sync the brain can be very effective. So there you go. I mean, I didn't know whether this thing was actually used. I just thought, well, our cousin actually has bipolar. Yeah. Which as I said, has a lot to do with depression and stuff like that. So, which is why I thought about trying to find something that might help there. But there you go. Thanks, Andy. At least I now know that it can be beneficial.
Yeah. So, as I say, we'll come back to the rest of them a bit later on.
Yeah, because I have a fair bit to go. So I have 2 more stories, but one of them's quite long. Yeah,
that's all right. So, he's just put a link on there for you. He said, "Here's a good one. It's on YouTube, so you can look at that one later on."
I will do. I'll just go over to this one.
Get rid of Google because I don't need that. Right. Okay. So I'm going to give Ronan a ring. So bear with me, everyone.
Copy the link location and I shall stick it in there so I don't lose it.
Come on, play the game. Right, I'll just get his mic up as well. You'll have to let me know if you can hear him, guys. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Ronan. Are you all right?
I'm fine, yes. Am I on the air yet?
Yes, you are.
I see. Just as well I put my teeth in then.
How are you, anyway?
Well, I'm bearing up. It's very dangerous to ask me how I am because it generally leads to a catalogue of my various health problems which could last at least half an hour, which I'm sure nobody is in the least interested in hearing about. Unless you have a lot of medical listeners, of course. I have some rare conditions.
Really?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
It's a bit too loud.
So I'm just going
Turn
to
it down on the phone.
turn you down a little bit because you're coming over a bit distorted. Right. Okay. So hopefully, do you want to try that again? See if we can hear you properly now.
Yes. Are things all right now?
Yeah. Hopefully it is. So we will
I-
continue.
Much better.
I wasn't quite sure what you had in mind. Do you want me to waffle on about Irish folklore, or do you have incisive and penetrating questions you're going to put to me?
Well, we're basically going to wing it as we go along. But what I would like to know about you first.
We're going to start with a waffle and then see what questions come along.
What I want to know from you first, Ronan, is basically just to give everyone a bit of an introduction. You're also an author, and we just want to know how this all came about.
Well, now that's that. I could hold forth about at length also. I've always been terribly interested in folklore and anything related to it, and also in the anomalous happenings that are so often associated with folklore, as a result of which I read vigorously, generally when I was supposed to be doing something else, and as a result I started putting my various bits of knowledge into reference books and selling them here, there, and everywhere. You can buy them all on Amazon. That's Amazon at economical prices.
Yeah, definitely. So you've done quite a few books, haven't you, really? Your best one to date, I believe, is for sales, was the Arthurian Legends.
Yes, the figure I have is about 120,000, but I think by now it must be nearing the 200,000 mark. For some reason, people seem to like it. It's well illustrated, of course, but the real jewel in the crown of the book is the text as written by me.
And it's been translated in Japanese and Hungarian, I believe.
Yes, I have a copy of the Japanese version, and when I showed it to a friend of my wife's, she said, "That book has nothing to do with you. I can't read Japanese, so I don't know if your name is on it."
Oh, bless
I had to find a little sort of piece of printing on the copyright page that ascribed the authorship to me. I've never seen the Hungarian copy. They seem to hang on to these things in Hungary with the greatest of enthusiasm.
Now, going on to your beloved Isle, we'd like to know more about the myths and legends that are abound in Ireland. There's quite a few, I believe, along with obviously the leprechauns and the cries of the banshee. So can you tell us a few?
Yes, well, you've got to remember that in Ireland you're dealing with something very different from the situation in England. The Industrial Revolution never happened in Ireland, so most of the folklore and legends and traditions of the supernatural are rural in origin, and the populations of the various areas haven't moved around a great deal. They've been there for thousands of years, and DNA studies have shown that most of them have DNA going back to the end of the last ice age, which would be about 8,000 BC. Whereas in England, of course, you had the Industrial Revolution, and a great deal of the rural population was uprooted and brought into cities, and so they lost a great deal of the traditions that they had in days of yore. Of course, there's still some of them there, but it's rather different in Ireland. The other thing people don't generally realise is that in Ireland, English only became the common language in the middle of the 19th century, as a result of which there are all sorts of terms of phrase and things of that nature which you get in books written in Ireland that are quite incomprehensible to anyone who's never visited the country. Now, having said all of that as a sort of preamble, by far the most famous kind of Irish creature creature, as it were, is the leprechaun. But before we get into that, I should just point out that the Irish countryman believed basically in two worlds. There was his own everyday world in which he laboured away, and there was also the other world. Now, although he probably didn't evolve a sort of concept, a philosophical concept of the other world, what it in a large extent amounted to is the belief that there was a dimension coexisting with his own, which contained supernatural beings. The interesting thing is that physicists are beginning to, they haven't quite hit on the supernatural beings, but these days they are getting more and more used to the idea of there being coexisting dimensions and alternative universes and I don't know what else. Now, the idea was that the beings from these otherworldly areas could intrude into their own reality. For example, you hear tales of somebody seeing a leprechaun and it disappears by walking into what appears to be thin air. And the truth of the matter is it's crossing the dimensional border. The big supernatural feast in Ireland, I suppose, is Halloween.
Yeah.
In the Irish language, that is called Ichachama, and the feast itself is called Samhain. The church, deciding to Christianize it, made Samhain into All Saints' Day, which was very perspicacious of it, and as a result, the two feasts have got along. Most of the Irish country dwellers had an awful lot of the old pagan religion about them still, even though they sort of went regularly to church. They still believed in the fairies. Now, the fairies, I should point out, have nothing to do with the kind of gossamer-clad beings you would see in Victorian illustration. They're much more sort of warriors mounted on horseback. In fact, the leaders of them are the pagan gods of the old Irish who were demoted to fairies when the Irish turned Christian. The church again didn't outlaw belief in them, it just said they weren't quite gods. And most of the Irish were prepared to take that on.
Yeah.
So these are seen as sort of glorious armoured hosts who gallop around on horseback. There have been some surprising accounts of people seeing them in such a way that it sounds almost as if they could be regarded as an actual phenomenon of some kind, although they ride around. They're not quite the same as the wild hunt of continental Europe or the one led by Herne the Hunter in England, but they are seen as a glorious sort of warrior elite. Then there are the littler fairies, the leprechauns, that very wisely keep out of way of the glorious elite because people on horseback carrying spears have a tendency to ride over you if you're small and insignificant. Leprechauns began, as far as we can judge, by being sea creatures. They're supposed to have taught a prehistoric Irish king how to swim under the water and breathe there. Unfortunately, they told him not to swim in a particular inlet of the sea, and as you can imagine, that was the first one he went into because he was so curious to find out why they warned him. He ran into a monster with rather dire results. The leprechaun these days, though, is seen as a solitary fairy. You'll see him sitting on a toadstool or other sort of application, and he is regarded as a shoemaker. The pictures you see of leprechauns were perhaps influenced a little by 19th century illustrations in books, but they're still, I think, believed in. You see, the thing is, if you or I were to go galumphing around Ireland to cottages of old country folk and say, do you believe in the leprechauns? They would probably say no, because they think sort of educated people would laugh at them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they don't believe in them. They just don't talk about them.
I see.
And there are all sorts of other kind of things. For example, when you're dying, a coach comes to take you away. As I've never had the distinction of riding in a coach, I'm rather looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But actually, exactly the same belief is found in Brittany, which is also a Celtic country. The Breton and Irish languages are related. So it was probably a widespread belief in ancient days. In fact, I heard of a friend sort of story about people who heard the wheels of the coach going round the house the next day. Old Meg had died, that kind of thing.
Is that also connected to St. Patrick?
Well, St. Patrick actually didn't have any particular urge to carry people away in a coach. There are all sorts of legends about St. Patrick, but basically speaking, all we can say for certain about him is that he existed in the 6th century.
Yeah, from Brittany or something, wasn't it?
He was probably born in Britain, and by Britain I mean the Roman province of Britain, which had just been left by the Romans. So he was, to put it mildly, Welsh, or of the same stock as the Welsh. Back in those days, the ancient Britons were really the ancestors of the Welsh. At the time St. Patrick lived, it was just before the Anglo-Saxons were going to come into Britain, but he was happily carried off as a slave to Ireland, escaped, and then went back there to Christianize the Irish. But of course all sorts of legends attached to him, as they did to many of the Celtic saints, and one has the suspicion that some of the Celtic saints who are talked about were in fact Celtic gods that got kind of Christianized in the telling.
Yeah, yeah. So, as I say, there are quite a few legends, aren't there, coming from Ireland. You've got things like the Children of Lie, if that's pronounced right, and Dagda's Harp, and Changelings, of course, which is also paranormal in some places.
Yes, well, the changeling is widely believed in throughout Europe. It's not by any means confined to Ireland. There are various slight variations in how the tale works. Generally speaking, the changeling is an ugly, grotesque kind of baby left in place of the family's own baby. Family has been looking the other way, and suddenly fairies have come in and whisked out their own beautiful child and left something monstrous in its place. The way to get rid of a changeling is to do something so extraordinary that it catches the changeling's attention and he makes some comment on it. For example, let us say you try to boil an egg in cold water. The changeling will sit up in its cot and say, "I've never seen in all my 500 years of life anyone boil an egg in cold water before." Thereupon the boiler of the egg turns around and says, "Aha, you're no baby, you're a changeling, I knew it." Getting rid of the changeling can be a bit more difficult, but there are stories of him going back to the fairy hill. The entrance to the fairy world or dimension was conceived as either through burial mounds of prehistoric people, because the other world that the Celts would have believed in would have contained both their gods and the dead. They didn't really think in terms of a plurality of other worlds. That only came a bit later. But sometimes it was said that if the father of a child left his trousers on the child's bed, it would never be pinched by the fairies. What the state of his trousers was like is not elaborated upon, but if he'd been working all day in a slurry pit or something, it might have been discouraging for a fairy with a sensitive nose. The banshee is another of the favourite ones. There is a custom in Ireland. I don't think anyone practices it anymore, but it used to be that if someone in your family died, you hired old women of particularly revolting aspect to go and wail over the grave, probably at night. This wailing was called the Queena, and they were very good at it, apparently. The witches in Macbeth didn't hold a candle to them. they would give these dolorous moans and groans and yells and lamentations and scare the liver out of anyone who happens to be passing. But the banshee is supposed to give this sort of sound before somebody dies. So if you hear the banshee wailing, somebody's for it. The banshee was originally attached to particular prominent houses, the houses of chieftains and kings and that sort of thing. But the belief has spread more widely these days.
And also, you've got the puka, which I believe made its way to America when it became the source of Harvey with James Stewart, the big rabbit.
Ah, indeed, yes, I remember seeing that film many years ago, but in fact, despite the fact that Harvey in the film was supposed to be a giant rabbit, you never saw him, he was always invisible. In fact, the puka is a rather different thing in Irish legend. Now, the word puka is not a word of ancient Irish origin because the letter P only entered the Irish alphabet rather late, and the word puka probably comes from north. We had quite a few Viking settlements in the Middle Ages, and it may have been picked up from there. But it is generally depicted as a donkey, which is no ordinary donkey, because when you get on its back, it goes riding off ferociously with you, tearing the life out of you as it jumps over hedge and ditch. Now, to be fair to the puka, it doesn't do what the Scottish kelpie does, which is to jump into the water and drown you. It's a far more civil kind of spirit than that.
Yeah.
But you do get a bit jolted as it goes over hill and dale, shall we say. I wonder, could I ask you to talk up just a little bit? Because
Yes,
I'm somewhat deaf, and
can you hear me all right now?
I can hear you fine now, yes.
Oh, that's good. So basically, what legends, what made you think about all these legends and write about them? Is it because of your Irish background?
No, I've written about legends from all over the world. I mean, I've done an awful lot of cryptozoology work, for example. You're familiar with cryptozoology?
Yes.
Yes, well, you see, I used to run a mail-order book service years ago, and I used to supply Bernard Huffelmans and Carl Schuker and all these people with books. And as a result, I got quite into cryptozoology, and I'm now to be seen bobbing about the CFZ and other places.
Yeah, I believe that was Excalibur Books, was that right?
That was Excalibur Books, yes. When Amazon came in, it went out of business more or less because I couldn't compete with the prices of charging. Indeed, a great many mail-order booksellers had to do likewise, but it got me in contact with a great many people, shall we say. I even supplied an institute in Germany, which had a very long name of 73 syllables.
God.
When I say 73 syllables, give or take a syllable or two, but I think its name really meant the Institute for Potty Ideas or something like that. It was quite interesting doing Excalibur Books, but I had to give it up. Then for a while I did substitute teaching.
Yeah.
Which put me in front of classes that looked as though they were mainly composed of relatives of Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, and other such creatures.
Oh my God!
And in the inner city, they would look up at a substitute teacher saying "easy meat" and drool as they looked at you.
Oh God!
Some of them actually had opposable thumbs, which was an asset. But I found various ways of dealing with them. For example, there was one class that weren't too bad, but they would never keep quiet. So one day I brought in this huge bag of extremely sticky toffees, and I said, before we start, who would like a toffee? And every hand in the classroom shot skyward. Kept them quiet.
I bet it did.
Yeah. Well, I heard recently there was a case of some unfortunate teacher who put plaster over the children's mouths. I wouldn't have gone so far as that.
No.
Nobody can cavil at my giving them a toffee or two.
Definitely.
Certainly they weren't going to complain about it.
Definitely not. And how long did you teach for, Ronan?
I did full-time teaching for about 20 years.
Yeah.
I did the substitute teaching, I suppose, for 3 or 4 years. Then I got a job in a call center. I had to call people up and tell them it was time to donate blood. When I did this, I sort of spiced the calls with little bits of personal information, which kept the callers amused, because these days people don't like cold calls, even if they're for a good cause like the blood service, because we all get plagued with them.
Yeah.
If I hear the phrase PPI again, I'm going to send an atom bomb over to India. But putting that aside, the experience of life stimulates you to write, and writing is, well, it's the kind of thing you can do without too much exercise.
Yeah.
I wrote a reference book on the Robin Hood legend, and I've recently done one on the Grail, which actually covers all these Holy Blood, Holy Grail sort of things and explains where they've come from, and in many cases what utter rubbish they are, but which is good for the general reader who reads sort of Dan Brown's novel, doesn't know where he's got all this stuff, and wants to find out. So a folklore, legend, myth, it has always intrigued me, and I'm now, would you believe it, doing the American website for the CFZ.
Are you? That's great.
Yes.
Great.
What has happened is, I was doing it, but Michael Newton, who's an American cryptozoologist of considerable repute, was supposed to be the editor, but then it turned out he was extremely ill, so he only does a little bit, and I make up a great deal of sort of twaddle, which I put in as well.
Yeah.
But I intermix it with interesting articles, and even the odd bit of philosophical theory.
Right, and as I say, the CFZ, you're quite involved in that, aren't you?
Well, yes. You see, in the old days, the CFZ was a pretty small organisation, and Jonathan Downes, who ran it, used to produce the odd publication.
Yeah.
Now, he built up the membership, but he was having trouble getting respectable-looking publications. He had to sort of bind them together, and they weren't terribly good looking. So I put him in touch with a printer who has been able to help at greatly economical rates, as a result of which now he's published over 100 books. So the thing is that I've been involved with the CFZ quite a bit for the past 10 years or so. They lure me down to give lectures.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't get round to writing the lecture until 10 minutes before I'm to give it.
Oh, God.
Well, I make a few brief notes, go in, and then speak about something else altogether. I digress. But I'm getting a bit aged, so I'm allowed to digress.
Oh, definitely. And for those who don't know what CFZ stands for, it's the Centre for Fortean Zoology.
It is indeed.
Which covers all cryptozoology stuff, doesn't it?
Not alone cryptozoology stuff, but it also has a certain amount to say for ecology, animal welfare, that sort of thing. It's a publicly conscious body, as it were. Yeah. Not merely a hobbyist's guide to Bigfoot, shall we put it that way?
No.
It's quite wide in the spectrum it covers. It also covers other anomalous phenomena. Yeah. And it's well worth getting in touch with.
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely going down there this year.
Oh, yes, I've seen you down there before.
Yes, we couldn't make it last year, but we're going down there this year.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. Do you know he's got me doing 2 lectures because he says it costs so much to pay for my plane ticket over, and I go in on a cheapo flight, believe me, that he might as well get his money's worth.
Why not? Why not?
Yes, I once flew with a rather interesting firm. I won't tell you the name of it because I don't want us all to get sued.
No, that's fine.
But the steward on the way out spoke excellent Polish. I'm sure if I understood Polish, I would have understood exactly what he said over the intercom. But the stewardess on the way back was equally incomprehensible in Glaswegian Scottish.
Wow.
Even Rabsy Nesbitt would not have understood her.
God.
So I keep the travelling expenses down a bit.
Yes.
I shouldn't really be waffling on about this. I'm wasting your valuable time.
No, you're all right, Ronan. You can
Esoteric
speak.
subject.
You can speak whatever you want to speak about. It's your
Oh, indeed.
It's your night.
Told you about my cyst.
So basically, Ronan, apart from doing work for the American CFZ, what else have you got coming up? And obviously the lectures at the Weird Weekend. What else are you actually doing?
Well, I've written a book called The Fairy Realm, which has been accepted by a publisher in America, which seeks to show that it is possible that fairies, or some variation of them, actually exist. And although this sounds ludicrous, I have in fact amassed a great deal of evidence and quite a bit of science to back it up. And no doubt the more skeptical will snort at it, but it is, shall we say, a book that tries to take into consideration the skeptic's concern and scorn and address it. So I'm hoping that will do rather well.
Yeah.
And the CFZ are threatening to publish my book on Atlantis, which they've been sort of sitting on for a little while, but when I go across, I'll try to stimulate their printing activities where that is concerned.
When it comes to Atlantis, do you think by any chance that the Bermuda Triangle has got anything to do with that?
I don't think it's got anything to do with it at all.
No.
Because with regard to the Bermuda Triangle, you can generally judge these things by what the people with money do. Now, the insurance companies don't charge planes or ships higher insurance for going in the Bermuda Triangle, and that means that the number of planes and ships that disappear is not outstandingly high. Otherwise, the insurance companies would be charging an arm and a leg, where they only just charge a big toe now. And the money markets are not skeptical in the least and always have their eyes on where there would be a sort of insurance risk. So I don't think the Bermuda Triangle is actually a valid area. Also, there is the fact that if you read 3 books on the Bermuda Triangle, they often draw the triangles in different places. I mean, roughly the same. Bermuda's to feature in them, obviously, or it wouldn't be the Bermuda Triangle, but they have different border lines, which makes me very skeptical about the whole thing. Now, with regard to Atlantis, I don't believe it was in the mid-Atlantic Ocean. I believe the legend was originally just placed in the west, before the Egyptians perhaps even knew there was an Atlantic Ocean lying to the west, and it just as their geographical knowledge increased, got further and further. I think it was probably in what we would call today Tunisia.
Yeah.
Called it Libya back in those days. All North Africa was Libya. There do seem to have been watery sort of incursions and the like there. There's an area called the Shot El Jarid, which was once a large lake, and I rather suspect there was an influx of water there that lies behind the Atlantis legend, but it's more complex than that, and I'm sure you haven't until Christmas to listen to my various theories, but I initially thought Atlantis was a fiction thought up by Plato as a sort of parable, but on studying the legend more thoroughly, I came to the conclusion that it probably referred to some sort of inundation on the North African coast. And in fact, it is well known that a chunk of Tunisia in ancient times broke off and sank into the Mediterranean.
Well, Steve was just saying to me, my husband, that he remembers reading something that it was mentioned that it's supposed to be off the coast of Ireland.
That has also been said, but I think the African source is more likely because Plato claims that the source of his knowledge was Egyptian, and I think it very unlikely that the Egyptians, in their ancient phase, as it were, back when Plato was alive, knew anything at all about Ireland, or if they did, it was very, very vague. No, I don't. I've heard that put forward, but I don't think it's actually
Right. Okay, and you said about the Bermuda Triangle. Did you say it moves a lot? Did you say?
Well, it's not so much that it moves a lot. It depends on who's writing the book.
Right. Could it be possible? You never know, but could it be possible? You've heard of islands that are moving, if you understand what I mean, drifting around in the water. Could it be possible that the Bermuda Triangle is doing the same thing?
Oh, that is by no means impossible. I mean, we don't know the secrets of the sea yet.
No.
It covers 2/3 of the planet, and we know less about it than we do about the surface of the moon. Yes, it is quite possible that there's mobility of current and that sort of thing underneath the sea.
Yeah. Now, going back to the book that you're writing about the fairies, we've got some people in the chat room. They want to know a bit more about it.
Well, what it involves is, first of all, I have amassed a great collection of, when I say great, I mean large, not necessarily great in quality, collection of anecdotal sightings of fairy-like creatures. I don't just mean fairies as such, sort of goblins and all sorts of things of that nature, chiefly in Britain and America, but and in Ireland, indeed, an awful lot of them there. But I have also strayed into other places where they have appeared. But this is merely anecdotal evidence, and therefore it would not be acceptable from a scientific viewpoint, because it's not falsifiable. What I have then gone on to do is to show that with the present rules of physics, the existence of a fairy dimension coexistent with our own is not an impossibility, particularly with recent developments in physics. You have people like Michio Kaku of the City University of New York, who not alone postulates the existence of other universes, but has actually suggested that when this one runs out in 1 billion years or so, we might have the technology to migrate to one of the others, rather than be snuffed out with it. Looking billions of years ahead, I think, is perhaps being a bit optimistic, but the idea that there are other universes and that sometimes there may be portals between them which would enable creatures to come through and go back.
Yeah.
This I put forward as something that is becoming more and more acceptable from a scientific viewpoint. And indeed, I have dug up some reports by scientists and things of such wormholes and the possibilities of such wormholes. I've also pointed out that the laws of physics are not constant. Many a scientist in the 19th century assured everyone that man would never fly. One of them actually did it after the Wright, made such an assurance after the Wright brothers had made their first flight.
Yeah.
He obviously hadn't kept very well up to date. But, I mean, we have reached a stage when physicists are doing the kind of things that used to be in science fiction stories when I was young. For example, I believe in particle physics now. You can move a particle from point A to point B without it traveling over the intervening distance. When you have reached that sort of level, you realize that all sorts of things which might have been deemed well beyond the bounds of possibility may well be possible.
Yeah, yeah. So it'd be good when we find out all this, that are actually true and stuff like that people have been going out and searching for. It's same with the cryptozoology. Look at Richard. He's been looking for his orang pendek for quite some time, hasn't he?
Yes, but on the last expedition, or it may have been the one before that, one of the party actually did see the orang pendek. Unfortunately, he was unable to sort of run after it, catch it, and bring it back.
Oh.
But it does see, and Deborah Martyr, who's been out there, has been chronicling their existence.
Well, that's good. I'll have to get him back on to tell us about it.
Oh, yes. The one trouble poor Richard has is that he tends to succumb to any illness that's going when he's out there.
Yeah, I can
Just
imagine.
a garish account sometimes of what he suffered from. I remember on one occasion he was prevailed upon when in Mongolia to drink, I think it was fermented yak's milk.
Yeah.
If your stomach is a bit weak and you tend to drink fermented yak's milk, I can tell you the outcome is not pleasant.
No.
When you want to show in your holiday photographs.
I can imagine. Now, going back to last Monday, it was St. Patrick's Day.
Indeed.
Okay, now, I believe that the Americans are saying that they started it all off.
Well, they certainly started off the idea of having processions on St. Patrick's Day. The idea was initially to get people of Irish extraction in America to join the army and hold a St. Patrick's Day procession. But of course, the Feast of St. Patrick has been in existence for a very long time.
Well, this is what I thought. You know, I'm sure that the Irish were celebrating it long before them.
Yes, well, St. Patrick, as I say, actually lived in the 5th century. Two of his writings have survived, and there is obviously a huge corpus of legend about him. But the thing is that he was celebrated as a saint for a long time. Just in Ireland, actually, there are sort of statues of him to be found in various continental countries. But certainly the Americans didn't sort of think him up and invent him.
No.
Or did they invent the idea of the celebration? But you've got to bear in mind that particularly in the 18th and 19th century, most of the Irish country folk, who made up most of the population, reduced to, something quite like serfdom, as a result of which they couldn't have very lavish celebrations on these occasions.
This is it. Now, when we go down to the Weird Weekend, we're hoping we won't be doing a show that night, so I'll probably just upset our listeners. But we will be doing some recording, so I hope to catch you sometime over the weekend, Ronan.
Oh, I'm always to be found bobbing about in the weekend. The bar is a good place to look for me.
The bar?
Yes. I find that an infusion of brandy does wonders for the invention when one is putting a lecture together.
It's a bit like a portal, that, because once you get in it, you can't get out.
That is certainly the case. Get locked in by crowds. Little knots of people form themselves around tables.
Yeah.
And unless you carry a blunt instrument and have a menacing look on your face, don't part.
I don't know. Well, it's been great talking to you, Ronan.
Just bring a shillelagh.
Pleased anytime you have a gap in the show, somebody doesn't turn up or somebody falls sick or whatever, you give me a ring.
I will do. And Steve just said just bring a shillelagh. So what is a shillelagh?
A shillelagh, well, now, the Irish had a great habit, a great pastime, which involved hitting each other with sticks. It's not so popular a sport this time.
I bet.
But it was very commonplace. A shillelagh was a large club. It is called after the village of Shillelagh in Wicklow.
Right.
And it was made of blackthorn, I think, most of the time. I've got one, actually.
Have you?
But it's a pretty hefty thing.
I bet.
You could quite easily crack somebody's skull with it if you were so minded.
God.
So I always carry it with me on the plane in case we get held up.
Well, you never know, do you?
Take this plane to Cuba, but I've got to go to the CFZ. Oh, you've got to go to the CFZ. Well, we'll go there first and drop you off.
Well, I look forward to seeing you then anyway, and I will take you up on that if ever...
well, you never know. You see, if you're on a radio program, there's always somebody who rings up to say, I've just fallen down the stairs, broken both legs and my nose, and I can't really talk to you tonight. If that ever happens, give me a ring. I don't need advance warning usually, and I'm so decrepit I rarely go out.
Okay, well that's great, Ronan. Thank you for that. I'll keep that in mind.
Not at all.
Don't be surprised if I do ring you.
Very nice talking to you. Thank you very much.
Speak to you soon, Ronan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ronan.
Well, that was Ronan Coghlan. Lovely guy he is, isn't he, Steve?
He is, and some of the things on here, it's, I said about anybody got any questions, and he just said, I'm just happy listening to him.
He's a lovely man, and we met him a couple of years ago down at the Weird Weekend. So Andy says he loves him, he's nuts. I think he's brilliant, he really is. So, and he's done quite a lot of stuff, like, you know, maybe next time we can talk about Robin Hood, or anything like that, or other things that he's written about.
Yeah, if he was actually here in the room, we could talk to him all night.
Oh yeah, he's just brilliant, and he talks nice and slow, and you can understand him when I've got the phone right place. Yeah,
so, I noticed when you're on the phone like that, if you take it just off the speaker, it brings it down, you can hear him better. Okay,
that's all right then. So I hope it wasn't too bad for you anyway, guys. So that was Ronan.
And he said, not in a good way.
He's brilliant, isn't he? So, you know, and that's what I like about him. And we, as I say, we met him back in 2012 when we went to the Weird Weekend. We couldn't make it last year, and this year we've been asked to go down because John wants me to do a talk about the KTPF.
Yeah, what's the date on it?
When is it on?
Yeah, Andy's just asking.
I'll tell you. 2 seconds. It's always, I think he said, it's always the 3rd August weekend.
3rd week in August?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just double check.
I know we got a hotel booked.
Yeah.
Yes, it's down in Bideford in Devon.
Yeah, 15th to 17th. So we'll be going down there, and because it's so far away, we're going to be doing interviews all weekend, and then what we'll do is as soon as we get back, because we'll be coming back late on the Sunday, we'll get them out as the show sort of thing on the Monday, just for you to have a listen to. But we'll be letting you know more about it the following week. So I'm sorry about that, I'm afraid, but needs must. And as I say, they want us to talk about the KTPF while we're down there as well, so and let everybody know about it. But the Weird Weekend is actually a great place to go if you ever want to go. They have many speakers there from all over the world. You've got like Lars Thomas, he's a Danish zoologist, cryptozoologist and author, and he's written on things like Jack the Ripper and things like that, and also the Danish Bigfoot and things like that, you know. So they've also got people that talk about bugs. They have a bug fest run down there for the kids and what have you. Ronan's obviously there doing his bit. Richard Freeman will be there talking about his expeditions. And
they know they have a nice dinner on a Sunday.
Yes, so I might do that as well. But yeah, it's really good, and they get zoologists down there. Sorry, folklorists like Ronan. They get ufology down there. They get parapsychologists down there as well. So as well as cryptozoologists. So it's a really good weekend if you ever really want to go. And the tickets to go, and you'll get to see all these. You know, buy your ticket early to secure your place. I think it's about £17, I'm not sure. Oh, sorry, £20 special price. Buy your tickets in advance at a special price of £20. That's for the whole weekend. So, and then you've got all them talks that are going on and everything, and the stalls there. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's and Monkey Hypno Man. It's in Bideford in Devon.
Yes.
And Andy, it's usually quite busy.
It's normally sold out, isn't it? Yeah. Very busy it is. You know, in the lecture rooms when people are doing their talks, it's full every time. Every time when we went there and we went into a lecture room, there was only 1 or 2, maybe 3 seats left. You know, that's how good it is, and all the money goes into what they're doing because. As you may have had, we've had Richard on the show before, and all of these expeditions are not, they're not, I know what you mean. They're not funded by the money that they're getting in. The money, Richard will go out and do these expeditions on his own money. You know, they don't get paid for it. It's what they like doing and what they feel they want to do, to go out and find their own pen deck. You know, even the guy Richard Thorns with his pink-headed duck. Now I know that may sound a bit silly, but out there somewhere is a pink-headed duck, and Richard Thorns, bless him, he has been out there and he nearly
got killed.
He did, didn't he?
Some lunatic on a motorbike nearly killed him.
You know, but the pink-headed duck is something that hasn't been seen for a lot of years, and they thought it was extinct. And this is the sort of thing they look for, to be honest with you. You know, and basically, I do have a write-up about it that he gave me. You know, it's the 19th century Bengal was a largely unexplored wilderness. The grassland was home to the tiger. The limpid waters were largely covered by pink and white lotus flowers, and were the home of innumerable species of waterfowl, which provided another target for sportsmen. The most beautiful and rarest of these was the pink-headed duck. You know, and people have actually said that, you know, there is one somewhere, or one or two, and they are back, and they're hoping to find out about it. You know, so it may seem like a duck to you, but it's something that's people think is rare, that isn't, you know, isn't actually. Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
That's the one.
I've forgotten your name, Steve, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one. Weird Weekend.
Yeah. Wolf Arsworthy.
So, yeah, Wolfersley or something like that.
Short neck flamingo.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, some people, they think to themselves, why bother going out and looking for this thing, you know, that never really, you know, has been not in existence for like God knows how many thousands of years, you know. But it's what people do, you know. It is life, you know. For all we know, well, let me just give you an example. We didn't know nothing about the gorilla or the giraffe or anything until these people went out and found them. You know what I'm saying? Alistair, sorry. You know, until these people went out and found them, and now look, we have gorillas, don't we? And we have stuff like that.
That's right. You're looking at me weird because I'm laughing. I just seen this picture of Ronan.
I know. I didn't use that one.
he looks crazy.
It's like a leprechaun.
It does, doesn't it?
But no, it's just weird. And for all we know, you know, the tiger, for instance, there's not many left of them. And then maybe in God knows how many hundreds of years' time, after they've gone,
I know where to find the blue heffalump.
Somebody might turn around and say there's a lion still roaming around.
Yeah.
You know.
On the Weird Weekend, the speakers this year, you have Glenn Vaudrey, you have Lars Thomas, Nick Wadham
with his Bugfest.
Ronan Coghlan
doing 2, he said.
Richard Freeman,
and there's more to come.
And there's many more speakers.
But John was saying he wanted us to do one.
And it would seem that we might be doing one and all.
So, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to get an interview like we did the first year, and because you'll see them on the YouTube page, where we've interviewed them before, and even Richard's on there with his pink-headed dog and his story about when he went out there, and basically, you know, it's such a fascinating weekend. It really is. But as I say, they do all sorts of things. Ufology. Last year I didn't get to go, but we had a chap on talking about shadow people, and he actually did a Matthew, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He actually came on the show.
He came on the show because he was looking for people's personal stories.
Yeah.
On seeing shadow people to actually put right up and put in his book. You
know, so as I say, it's you know, it's not just weird animals that may or may not exist. You know, it's all sorts of things, and it's the only one in the country, as far as I know, that's as big as that.
Yes.
So you know, but yeah, they do get a sellout tour, and they do it every year. apparently
it's the longest running.
Yeah, John was saying that he started it one year, expected it to, and then they did it the second year, and now I think it's their 19th one this year. Bit like us really with our radio show. We thought we'd do it for a couple of months, and all of a sudden here we are now. So but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you back to Steve for the rest of his observations while I sort out the paranormal events. So I'll speak to you soon.
Okie dokie then. Here we go. Miley Cyrus, praised by Courtney Love, visited by ghost named Sheila. Well, the story starts with a love fest between Miley Cyrus and Courtney Love through various tweets, but Courtney isn't the only one clamoring to get close to MC. According to her Adore You singer's tweet, she had a visit from an otherworldly soul on Monday to her and a ghost named Sheila. Apparently, this isn't Sheila's first visit to Casa de Miley. In fact, ghosts have visited the Cyrus clan for a number of years, according to Miley in her new tweet. That is spooky, she says. No pictures of the ghost. Right, here we go. In 1964, the brilliant Isaac Asimov,
I was born then.
You was indeed, wrote some predictions for 2014.
Don't add it up.
Wait until you see how right he was. Writing for the New York Times in August 1964, the great sci-fi writer, he wasn't alive in August 64.
That's all right then. I was thinking about it.
Yeah, just thinking about it. Laid out some speculations for what the world would be like in 50 years.
I was alive. I was just thinking about
it. He did it under the guise of an imagined visit to the World's Fair in 2014. And what happens to be the year we're now in. Asimov is a notable guy for his numerous works of science fiction, especially as they relate to robots. He was fascinated by things science and technology could one day make a real that shouldn't be much of a surprise to see how accurate his predictions were. And here are some of them. Men will continue to withdraw from nature in order to create an environment that will suit them better. While it's not reshaping the natural environment, but creation of a new one entirely is point of most easily illustrated by popular multiplayer games like World of Warcraft. Would you prefer, or one you're tall at the desk and check out one, get a watch and monsters fight? Kitchen units that will be devised to prepare auto meals. We are just now beginning to see the trend of instant food that does its very best not to suck. The two leaders of the pack are Soylent and Finland-based Ambro, which both have products coming out on the market earlier this year. Another one is robots won't neither be common nor very good in 2014, but they will be in existence. The gentleman who wrote this said, speaking strictly for himself, the Roomba 880 is an awesome application of a robot technology. Now, they're not the world's most common household appliance, but they definitely exist, and he happens to think they're very good at their job. Much effort will be put into designing of vehicles with robot brains, vehicles that can be set for particular destinations that will then proceed there without interference by the slow reflexes of a human driver. This one's pretty straightforward. Reality, the driverless car is one of Google's big pet projects right now, and it's on its way. Communications will become sight and sound, and you will see as well as hear the person you telephone. The screen can be used not only to see the people you call, but also studying documents and photographs and reading passages from books. Well, we already have Skype and face-to-face time. Otherwise, we'll find ways of visually see our faces talking to each other in real time. We do this on our tablets and smartphone screens, which is also used, you guessed it, for reading and looking at pictures. Resounding success for Asimov's prediction abilities on that one. He also said, hang on, let's get back up here. I was jumped down too much on this computer. In 2014, there is every likelihood that the world population will be I've been dreading this bit because how big's the number? I think it's 6,500,000,000, and the population of the United States will be 350 million. Well, the population clock at present says the US is 317,305,544. So he wasn't far out there. The world population at present is 7,137,937,085 apparently. Don't know where that half is, but there you go. So his estimates weren't too bad there at all. The world of AD 2014 have fewer routine jobs that can be done better by some machine than any human being. As we all know, we've got robots doing all sorts of stuff. I will get this link shortened for you, and you can see his full list of. And he was pretty good actually. He's done a pretty close. Here we go. Put it in the old shortened box. There we go. I love this one, Andy.
Yeah, I'm glad you told us about it.
Thank you for giving us this
link thing. So just shorten it for you.
There we go. Oops. Take the plus off the end. I hit the button. There we go.
Right.
So if you go there at the bottom of the page, you'll see everything I've read out. But you go to the bottom of the page, there's a link at the bottom that will give you a full list. And from the little bit that I read, the guy wasn't far out at all.
No.
And that's me, Susie.
Is that?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I did done run out.
Okay. Well, I'll see you after this break.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Right, okay, that's our ad for Ghost Store. So we'll be having Tim Brown on in a few weeks as well, telling us what's happening and what's hot in the shop. Now, Andy said, did we see his question, guys?
I see question for Sue and Steve.
Right, who would you like to
Asimov.
have had on who's no longer with us?
That's no longer with us?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Now then.
No, no, not Jesus.
That's a good question. Who would I like to have that's no longer with us?
One of your favourites, I think.
Who's that?
Alistair
Crowley.
Alistair Crowley.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
Harry Price I would have loved to have on.
One.
And that the other guy that did that investigation with that, can't think what his name was in the 70s. Can't think. That did the Borley Rectory thing. That wasn't him, was it? It was somebody else. Maudsley or something like that.
Maudsley.
Something like that. I can't remember what his name was. Let me just see if I can find it. No, it wasn't that. It was to do with the Enfield Ghost.
The Enfield Poltergeist.
That was it. The Enfield Poltergeist.
Peter Underwood.
No, he's a writer.
Well, that's what.
Hold on. I'll
MPS
find it here.
Put.
I'll put it here. See if I can find it. There was a guy that did it. Paranormal investigation. Maurice Gross. That was his name.
Gross.
Guy Lionel Playfair. This is a guy that I'm trying to get hold of, so maybe my sort of wish will come true. There is another one that I would like to have had on the show.
Go on.
If he was alive. my first thought was Vlad Dracul.
Flat.
Yeah, why did he do such things? No, but I don't know. It's a very good question, that. But I'd like somebody on the show, if possible, that's gone, that would come back and tell us that it's all real. That would be good.
That would not would not only be good, that would be absolutely the bee's knees, and we could all stop then, couldn't we?
Yeah. I like the look of that, Andy.
Yes, good idea, Andy.
So, I used to like the Ozzy Osbourne track of Aleister Crowley. Was it Mr. Crowley? Dun, dun, dun. Do you talk to the dead?
I mean, we're talking about people that were involved in
The occult.
that were involved in the occult and stuff.
Black
But
magic and
then
stuff.
you got people like, I don't know, like
It's on the tip of his tongue.
it is. I had it a minute ago. the American civil rights leader.
Oh, God, no.
What's his name?
Martin
King.
Luther King.
Yeah, Martin Luther King. People. I mean, I know it's not paranormal, but it's just somebody would be nice to talk to.
Yeah. Andy said, in the words of the song, don't believe the hype. Definitely. Right, okay. We're going to sort out these events, get them out of the way, and then we're coming back.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, Andy. But if he came back and talked to me, it would be paranormal.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
Yeah, well, in the last week of March, coming up, and next weekend, at the 28th of March, there's a psychic supper at Molly O'Grady's in Leicester with paranormaluk.co.uk. And on the 29th of March, there's the wardrobe in Salisbury, Wiltshire, otherwise known as the Rifle Museum, with compassparanormal.co.uk. They're going to be going to the 13th century building museum that's got parts that were dated back to 1540s. Also, don't forget, you've got the two great mediums on their tour, Tony Stockwell. You can find out where he is at tonystockwell.com, and also Derek Acora on continuing his 2014 Enlightenment Tour at derekacora.com. So you can find out where they are, if they're in your area. On to April. God, we're getting into April already, Steve. 5th of April. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce this, so John wanted tongue twisters. I think I'm about to give him one. Dolaucothi Gold Mines in West Wales, in Dyfed, to be precise. Compass Paranormal are there with Barry Fitzgerald from Ghost Hunters International Taps and Ghost Hunters. There's limited places, and they will be going to the gold mines, which are set amid wooded hillsides overlooking the beautiful Cothi Valley in the southwest Wales. 2,000 years ago, the powerful Romans left behind a glimpse of the gold mining method, and the harsh mining environment continued in the 19th and 20th century. And they'll be conducting unique experiments with Barry. So you can find out more from their site. Back at Molly O'Grady's on the 10th of April in Leicester with paranormaliuk.co.uk. On the 11th of April, there's still some places left. Not many. It's very limited now. For Haig Hall Ghost Hunt. That's in Wigan. That's in partnership with Haig Hall. UK Shadow Seekers are offering a ghost hunt that may turn your hair green. The hauntings at the hall have taken a variety of forms. Many physical manifestations have been reported, from hooded figures to malevolent shapeshifters seeking to cause mischief, with ghostly apparitions, doppelgangers, manic screams and insane laughter, who all reported of what's known as the Borley Rectory of the North. There you find out the truth. Within the price you also get refreshments, and as I said, there is a limited availability, and you can find out if there's any space left if you call 01942 832 895 or visit boxoffice.wlct.org. And please remember there is a booking fee that applies with web and phone transactions. On the 20th of April, Carew Castle in Tenby, Pembrokeshire. You can join Compass Paranormal there as they investigate the reputedly haunted 1100 magnificent Carew Castle, as a history of spanning 2,000 years. The ghost of an ape and its master are said to haunt the castle to this day. I did say ape. Footsteps are reported regularly, objects thrown themselves, and the mad cackling laughter of an ape echoes through the halls. Find out more with compassparanormal.co.uk. Back to Molly O'Grady's on the 17th. That's with paranormaluk.co.uk. And Compass again off on the 19th of April to the London Tombs at London Bridge at 2 to 4 Tooley Street, London Bridge, London. Now, I always thought that was London Dungeons. The London Tombs is an out and out tourist attraction by day, with animatronics and special effects guided by actors. That said, it is a thoroughly scary experience and has a generally eerie atmosphere. That's compassparanormal.co.uk. And if you feel like going on a ghost walk, on the 19th of April, Sinai Ghost Hunt with Richard Felix. Our friend down there at Burton Ghost and History Walks.co.uk are teaming up with Richard Felix to investigate Sinai House. There's 4 hours of a ghost hunt in this one, and you'll be working with their psychic medium Ian Griffiths as he contacts the dead via psychic walks. So they do quite a few walks now and again, so you can always find out more when they're doing them. And that's it from the events.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
Well, that's the events for this month and for next month, and we've still got questions. I see in the chat room. Was it Ask Sue and Steve night tonight? Well, let's see what we've got here.
Andy has just said that it's opposite the old London Dungeon.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right. Anyway, so Arthur C. Clarke would have been a good one. We could have had him on a few times. Lloyd Pye. We tried getting him on, but he was so busy at the time, or maybe so ill, because we lost him recently, didn't we?
We ended up with his assistant, didn't we?
With Amy Vickers on instead. And she's been on a couple of times now, so you can have a look at her replay in the YouTube channel that we've got. Let's have a look, see what else it said here. The strangest guest we've had on. The strangest one. Who would you say?
I did, but I typed it.
Right, okay.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that, actually. I would say, I'm going to say Alien Bill, but he believes what he believes. You know what I mean?
I mean, they all believe on what they actually believe. It's just that it comes across sometimes as being really weird.
Yeah, so... But as I say, you know, he's gone on to bigger and better things, and a colleague of his and ours, mutual friend Malcolm Robinson, he's enjoying his photographs.
Yeah.
And
who have you not heard of, Andy?
And Steve Mera is actually investigating more.
Yeah, he is indeed.
Who have you? Right, the show with the Star Child. That's correct. Who have you not heard of? Why not? It's your 100th.
Monkey Man loved Tony Topping.
So, did you see the article on this? What else have we got here? I thought there was another one there. Who was the favourite one? Was the last one I saw. My favourite guest. I suppose, really and truthfully, not exactly my favourite. The fact that I got him on in the first place was Ben Hansen from Paranormal Fact and Faked. That was something I never expected. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Derek Akora's interview nearly got me into trouble with the powers that be over at a certain place. But
I mean, for me, like I put on there, it's probably Andy and Chris. When Chris was here, not because of the subject,
No.
but we could actually have a good conversation.
Precisely.
We could throw things backwards and forwards, and I do like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our guests, no offence to yourselves, but a lot of our guests are talking about stuff that goes straight off my head.
Precisely.
And
Look at that.
I've got to look at stuff
We
and try and catch stuff.
We bring them on to get them out there and to learn ourselves.
Yeah.
But sometimes I sit there and I think, God, what am I going to ask him now? I'll be truthful.
Yeah.
You know.
The Derek interview was brilliant.
Yes, that was brilliant. The interview is brilliant. The aftermath might not have been too good, but the interview was good. Andy's brought on some great topics of interest, which I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed the JFK.
Yes,
that was really good.
So
and it wasn't only what he was saying; he had the photographic evidence there to go with it for people to have a look at. You know?
So and Mark Rosney's been good when he comes on as well.
Yeah, Mark's another one where you can throw things at him and not just have a good conversation. You know?
He's going to be joining us on Skype in a couple of weeks, actually, dear.
Cool.
Mark. Well, actually, it's going to be in April when we've got Larry Arnold on. We're talking about spontaneous human combustion.
Now that could be a
that
good
is something I'm really interested in, to be honest with you. Just to give you a heads up of what's coming on. Okay. Next week, don't forget. Right, it's the 30th of March. It's Mother's Day, and it's also meant to be the first day of spring. Let's hope the weather believes it as well.
Yes, so don't forget to get the Mother's Day cards and the flowers.
But next week,
you will be in trouble.
Apart from Tim Brown coming on talking about the latest gadgets and what have you and what he's been doing at the Ghost Store, we've got Ryan Gooding coming on, and he's going to be available to give readings on the air. So don't forget, if you want a reading, this will be the time to get it. Okay. The following week we have a very interesting interview coming up. Steve Mary is going to be joining us live in the hub while we talk to Steve Johnson. Now, Steve Johnson, if you've never heard of him, he's a I can't say that word properly because it sounds like I'm saying pathetic, but it's like prophetic. He dreams stuff. He's the man of dreams, and he has been dreaming stuff for quite some time.
Yeah,
and it actually happened.
He actually dreamed the World Trade Center.
He's dreamt the World Trade Center. He dreamt.
I know that's easy to say afterwards.
Yeah, but, he said he even dreamt the attack that happened in London last year. You know, and he saw that. You know what I mean? And that would be an interesting one, I think, to talk about. The following week, on the 13th, we've rescheduled because I was ill the other week. Carol Mitchell from the guys at from the young lady who's written that Paranormal Intruder based on a true novel. And we've also got Jim Armstrong coming on from Truth Seekers, telling us about his group and what he does. What's this? What about the guest that got away? The one how booked, he didn't show up. I'm still pestering him. So I'm still pestering that one. You guys are great, Derek Corey. Uri Geller, he was a good one. You should be proud of yourselves. National radio can't compare. Thank you, Alistair. I really appreciate that. We've got George Stadowski coming on the 20th of April. He's going to be talking about his show, and he's American, and he's going to be talking about stuff that happens over there. As I said, 27th of April is our wedding anniversary, dear. We're going to be talking to Mark Rosney and about this spontaneous human combustion. Tony Toppin will be back with your chosen topic, paranormal espionage, by the looks of it, because he was asking what we want to talk about. And he'll be here on the 4th of May. And we've got Marie Wheatley talking about dowsing on the 11th of May. And following them, we have Marie D. Jones, who was supposed to be on tonight, but she couldn't make it. And Ray Jordan on the 25th. And then on the 1st of June, I know I'm going a bit too far, but the one I've been really after getting is Carrie Tratham, the woman who who flew through the Bermuda Triangle.
And that is some story.
It is.
Andy's asking, is that the ancient alien guy, George?
No. This is somebody that runs a radio show in America. He's been on the chat room a couple of times, but he just does his own thing. He's just an enthusiast, basically.
Yeah,
he does do a paranormal journal, though.
He does. He's
let me just see.
He has a thing, and I don't blame him. He has a thing about people that quote paranormal unity and the lights when it suits them.
Yeah.
And
so,
I agree with him.
He's got a website called Parascience Journal. And he runs a Global Radio Alliance show as well. So yeah, that's who that will be. But this woman, she's I've been trying to get her on the show for ages, and her name's Kathy Tratham, and she's just sent me her bio for the show for June the 1st. When she came on the Zone Unknown, we sat there in awe of what she was saying, and Roy said, does anyone want to ask any questions? We just sat there and listened, didn't we? It was fascinating.
Yeah, she was one of the two that nobody wanted to ask a question. They just wanted to listen to what she was saying, to what they were saying. The other one was actually
Wade Davis.
Wade Davis.
But I have sent him a message to say that everyone missed it and was hoping to get him on. But I don't know what's happening there, whether he's actually going to take up my offer or not. What the hell was she saying? Who?
What was who saying?
What was who saying?
Oh, what was she saying that was kept us quiet?
about the fact that she got into this flight and
she was basically flying home.
Yeah,
and
she didn't have enough diesel or something.
No, she had the fuel. Yeah. Her plane was fully loaded with fuel,
enough to get home,
and more than enough to get home. She should have had over half a tank left time she got home.
Yeah.
And she flew through the Bermuda Triangle, and all her instruments went and everything else. And she eventually flew out the other side and got home. And she actually got a rollicking from her flight instructor because he said that she couldn't have filled the tank up before she left because it was empty.
Yeah.
She actually landed; it was on fumes.
Yeah.
And things like that. But she was telling the story of what happened while she was actually in the triangle.
The reason why I asked Ronan about the Bermuda Triangle and Atlantis is because can't find it now. It's Carrie, not Kathy.
Carry on.
She's written a book entitled, when I get to her webpage.
I think it does actually move by a few degrees, depending on the season.
The Bermuda Triangle, Pathway to the Atlantis, is available both by print and digital edition, and that's why I asked about the connection on the Atlantis bit. So, but yeah, it's we do get some quite good talkers on, and sometimes I can't believe who we're getting on. Sometimes, especially Uri Geller and and that.
The other thing I don't get is people keep saying, "How do you get them on?" I mean, it's simple. You ask.
I ask them.
I mean, people at the end of the day can only say no.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them probably get asked, needing hundreds of times, and the diaries get filled up and stuff like that.
Like Darren Brown.
Right there, Darren Brown.
He said no.
He said no. He did. He's too busy.
Too busy. So.
And it could have been quite interesting though. That one. Had he been able to do it.
Yeah, but I do try and get some good people on for you. Some interesting people.
Yeah. And don't forget, if there's somebody that you'd really like on the show, let us know, and we will do our best to contact them and see if they can come on.
Definitely. Well, just like to say a few words. I don't know if I'm going to read this part of this out because I did put it on ages ago, but it still means a lot now. Firstly, we would like to give a big welcome to all of our recently new followers on Facebook and on the chat room. and to say that Steve and I hope that you do all enjoy the shows we do, and thank you for the interaction you give us each week. To think this all started from a normal chat night. As I said before, our ideas come from being part of a guest panel with the guys from Para Projects and the much missed Zone Unknown with Roy Basnett, but our good friends will also be dropping in the hub from time to time when they're available. Now the thing is, Steve and I want this to be your show, therefore we would love to hear from you in regards to what you would like our guests to talk about. Do you have a particular interest in the area of supernatural, the paranormal, or other strange phenomena that you would like us to cover? If so, then please feel free to let us know, and we will try our darndest to cover it. Or maybe you would like to come on the show, either live, via Skype or phone, and talk about a related topic for our listeners to give their opinions to. Remember that on our show, the whole point is for you to get involved, as we invite you to join the discussions and interviews with our special guests, accepting live callers as well as on the chat room. So don't be shy, give us a try. You know you want to. And don't forget, we also have the Listen Again facility on Radio Replay. And we've also got the forum in the discussion area with all sorts of types of things that you can get your teeth into, and maybe add your own topics as well. So at the end of the day, all I can say is, again, thank you. Okay, we'll see what we can do.
I'll say that again. Andy wants somebody who knows about shadow people.
Right. Okay.
I've seen one.
Well, what we'll do is we'll try our hardest to find out. I'll write that down now. And basically, as I say, at the end of the day, we can't do this show without you. And if we can get the guest on that you need, then, so be it. But sometimes we may not be able to feel our obligations.
In which case, it'll just be us waffling.
Yes.
We'll do a waffle.
We'll do a waffle. And it probably won't be a long show either. But as I say, we'll do our best. And we hope our best is good enough for you. Now, as I said, Alistair, you said you wanted to come on the show sometime, so maybe we can book a date with you in June sometime. Okay, and we can talk about your hypnotherapy and stuff like that. But don't make me look a chicken, for God's sake, live on air.
we were going to get him and Andy in the room, and we were going to leave them to it.
That's all right. I can get Andy on Skype. We can have Alistair here.
Richard Felix again. You missed him last time, says John.
I'll see whether I can get Richard on. I've got his number still, and see whether we can talk to him. So I don't know what we're going to say to him though. We sort of asked him everything. So but as I say, it's
we'll find something.
I just saw a comment from Andy. I don't know who he was on about. Stephen King. Well, now there's somebody I'd love to get on. See whether we can. We can talk about all his books and where he gets his ideas from, and all this, that, and the other. Can't we? Now that is a guy. I was actually trying to get on James Herbert before he sadly passed away, but I would really love to get Stephen King on if I can find a contact for him. So we'll see what we can do. Okay. So yeah. As I say, Alistair's local, so he can pop round here, be live in the hub. We can have Andy on the Skype, and we can just have a good old conversation. Cup of coffee. Yeah. As George says, isn't it? Basically, sit down with a cup of coffee in a group of friends.
Yeah, because it's they're both come the hypnotherapy side from different directions.
Yeah.
Well, so it'd be good to turn it off, because hypnotherapy at one point was considered witchcraft.
Yes, it was. Definitely. So, sounds like a plan. It does sound like a plan. So, if you can book a date with us in Alistair, I've got some June dates available except the 1st. chuck one through to me, and we'll sort something out. And but one thing I do want to mention to you before we go: if you've got Sky Television, Sky One, starting this week. Apparently, according to the message I got from Sky, they said everything's going to change this Thursday, and I wonder what they were on about. But there's a new show coming on Sky One at 9 o'clock, which is the 27th of March, and it's called Believe, and it's one of the most eagerly anticipated shows of 2014. That's largely due to the fact that the executive producers are none other than Oscar-winning director Alfonso Cuarón, if that's right, of Gravity fame, the new movie, and Emmy Award winner J.J. Abrams of Lost, Mission Impossible, Star Trek, and soon the new Star Wars. Cuarón also directs the first episode. It's got levitation, telekinesis, and the ability to control nature and even predict the future. Believe features one young girl's extraordinary power and her fight for survival. So it follows Bo, played by Johnny Sequoia, something like that. Sorry, tongue twisters. An orphan girl with a special ability she doesn't fully understand. Raised by a small group known as the True Believers, she's also been shielded from outside forces that want to exploit her gift for their own purposes. Now aged 10, her powers are growing stronger and the threat is growing even more dangerous. The Believers turn to the one person they know who can protect her, death row inmate Tate, played by Jack McLaughlin, who is slated for execution for a crime he did not commit. So watch out for the preview for a taste of what's to expect. You can watch the preview here. I shall just give you the link if you're interested. I'll definitely be putting it on my planner because I'm going to be away for a few days. So, have you heard of Flecky Bennett's Ghost Tours? Yes, I have.
Have you been on one of
We
these?
do know Flecky Bennett, and maybe he might be available on a Sunday to come on. That might be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he also does a tour of the big cemetery in London.
Highgate Cemetery.
Highgate, yeah.
Yeah. So it might be good if we can get hold of him, actually.
Yeah.
So, could have a word with him, can't we?
Yeah, can
see whether he's free.
I can't remember what his real name is.
Oh, God, now you're asking.
I know he's an actor, but I can't remember what his name is.
Hang up, let me think. Is it Steve somebody? I can't remember what his name is. He's on my friends list. You know. But, we'll see. I can't think what his name is. Flecky.
And he said Gordon.
Gordon? Where do you get Gordon from? Ian Waring his name is.
Aha, there you go.
That's his name. So, not much of a psychic there, was you, Andy? You haven't got your magnet with you, have you? I don't know.
I want to try that. I think I'm going to try that.
It's the North Point, Andy.
Yeah, not the South.
Not the South. I don't know. Have you not heard of
I have
Bennett,
indeed. He was the
yes, I have.
editor of the New York
He's got
Times.
a big tin hat. He's got my tin hat on. So basically, I might have a word with Flecky Bennett actually, because now that we've changed it to a Sunday, he might be available. So mightn't he?
He might indeed.
So I might give him a.
He can tell us all about his tours and stuff.
Yeah, that would be good.
Hello, spring's definitely. I just saw a gnat.
Yes, I know.
Where'd that gnat go?
That's because I've got the door open. Well, I'm afraid that's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to love you and leave you. Thank you for joining us on our 100th show. And please remember, you know where we are every Sunday.
This is where it's at.
We'll be here for you, bringing you some great people, hopefully, and some interesting people. Don't forget, next week, if you are interested in a reading, please email me at admin@ktpf.co.uk, and we'll put you on the list for a reading. Okay? And until next time, all we can say is, as ever, and we're proud to be it. We hope you are too. Keep the paranormal friendly.
Good night, guys.
We're KTPF. We hope you are.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.